Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're stripping away some of that watercolor nostalgia from your childhood. We're looking at a literary icon, but through a very specific, almost gritty lens that I guarantee you haven't seen before.
Yeah.
We're talking about Peter Rabbit.
That's right. But probably not the Peter Rabbit you're expecting. We're not really talking about the blue jacket and the chamomile tea today.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
I mean, when you think Peter Rabbit, what comes to mind? For me, it's an angry gardener.
Right, Mr. McGregor.
Stolen vegetables,
Yeah.
mischief, a little bit of chaos. You know, the archetype of the character who just cannot follow instructions.
Exactly. The classic naughty character. The one who, breaks the rules just for a snack. It's usually a story about impulse control or the lack of it.
Right. But the source material we have today just flips that script so completely, it's actually kind of shocking. We're not looking at a classic Beatrix Potter book. We're doing a deep dive into a narrative transcript. It's from a YouTube video called Petter Rabbit Finds Father, from a channel called The Magic Boy. And yes, that's Petter with 2 T's in the title, but 1 T in the text.
And honestly, spelling quirks aside, this text is fascinating because it takes a character who's usually defined by, selfishness, getting the carrots he wants, and it thrusts him into this high-stakes rescue mission.
It's like a blockbuster movie script, but condensed into a few paragraphs. I mean, you've got stealth action, you've got a heist,
A family reunion.
a whole character arc that explicitly moves him from being naughty to brave.
It's this really compact narrative of redemption, and what stood out to me immediately was just the efficiency of it. It doesn't waste a single word describing clouds or birds. It immediately establishes the stakes. This isn't a garden raid, it is a prisoner of war extraction.
Oh, I love that. A POW extraction. Okay, so let's lay out the roadmap. We are going to cover his return to the farm, this kind of creepy discovery in the barn, the heist itself, which has a sleeping dog and a key. And then finally, that big thematic shift at the end about what it really means to be brave.
Sounds great.
Okay, let's dive in. Segment 1, the motivation shift. The text opens with a very simple sentence. Peter Rabbit went to the farm again.
Right. And normally, in the lore of this character, that sentence signals trouble.
Means lunch is coming.
It means lunch, yeah.
Yeah.
It implies a habit. That word, again, suggests he's done this 100 times before to steal lettuce or something.
But the very next sentence just slams the brakes on that assumption. The text says, he did not go to eat carrots.
And that is the crucial distinction. That's the pivot point for the entire story. If he isn't there for carrots, then the entire motivation of the character has changed.
Completely.
He's not driven by appetite, he's driven by purpose.
It's his call to adventure.
Right.
What is that purpose? Well, the text tells us. He went to look for his father.
Which is so significant. It implies the father has been missing for a while. Peter isn't just wandering around, he's on a predetermined mission. He's actively looking for someone. It just sets a tone of maturity right from the start. Like he's stepping up to fill a void in the family.
It really changes how you see him walking onto that farm, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
He's not a thief here. He's more like an investigator.
Yeah.
But then things get a little weird. He runs into the farmer.
Antagonist?
And the text says the farmer saw Peter and said, "Come here, little rabbit." And then, this is the key part, the farmer took Peter into the barn.
This is where the ambiguity of the text actually adds so much to the tension.
How so?
Well, come here, little rabbit could be menacing or it could be strangely inviting, you don't know. But the fact that the farmer took him, that implies Peter was either captured or maybe led. Either way, he ends up in the belly of the beast.
And let's talk about the atmosphere in there, because the text gets very specific about the vibe. It says, the barn was dark and quiet.
And those sensory details are doing so much work.
Right.
Dark and quiet. It strips away all the chaos of the farm. No chickens clucking, no wind, just silence and shadows. It forces the narrative to focus entirely on what Peter is about to find.
It feels really ominous to me. Like, nothing good happens in a dark, quiet barn in a story like this. It raises the tension immediately. You're just waiting for the trap to spring.
Exactly. It isolates the hero. In storytelling terms, this is his descent into the underworld. He's left the ordinary world of the field, and he has entered the danger zone.
So Peter looks around, and then comes the reveal. He sees a rabbit in the corner. But it's not just sitting there. The text delivers a real gut punch. The rabbit had a chain on his leg.
A chain. I mean, not a cage, not a rope, a chain. That is such a brutal detail.
It is.
It implies a level of, like, permanence and severity to his captivity. You chain a dog, maybe. You chain a prisoner. You don't usually chain a rabbit.
It makes the farmer seem much more threatening. This isn't just pest control. It feels personal.
Yeah.
Like imprisonment. And then the dialogue hits. Peter cries out, "Father!" And the rabbit confirms it. He says, "Yes, Peter. It is me. I am Tom, your father."
Tom. I think it's so interesting that we get a name. It humanizes him instantly. He isn't just Father Rabbit.
He's Tom.
He's Tom. And the fact that he's alive is this massive revelation. I mean, in so many animal stories, the missing parent is just gone for good. Here, he's found, but he's compromised.
And Tom, he isn't just sitting there feeling sorry for himself. I mean, he is sad, but his first thoughts are for his family. He tells Peter, "Mother is sad. My 3 sisters are sad too."
So he's aware of the void that he left behind. He knows his absence has broken the family dynamic. He's carrying that guilt.
But here's the part that gets really interesting to me. The description of his reaction to seeing Peter. The text says, "Father looked at Peter with soft eyes."
That is a beautiful phrase, soft eyes.
What does that say to you? Because he's in a terrible, terrible situation.
It says that despite the chain, despite the darkness, despite all the suffering, the love for his son is the dominant emotion. He's not looking at Peter with panic. He's not screaming at him to run away. He isn't looking at him with wild eyes or scared eyes.
No.
He's looking at him with tenderness. It creates this tiny moment of connection that just cuts right through the scary setting.
It really grounds the stakes. This isn't just about a rescue mission, it's about a relationship. But then reality crashes back in. Tom says, "I want to come home, but I cannot. I am chained."
And that defines the central conflict, the desire, I want to come home, versus the physical reality, I am chained. It's the classic obstacle that the hero has to overcome. The father is helpless here. The agency has to shift to the son.
Which leads us right into the promise. Peter doesn't panic. The text says Peter was quiet for a moment.
And that silence is so important. He's processing, he's calculating. A younger, naughty Peter might have run away screaming or tried to bite the chain.
Right.
This Peter is assessing the situation.
And then he delivers the line, "I will help you."
Simple, declarative, a promise.
So we get a time jump. The text says that night, Peter comes back. But now, the difficulty has been cranked way up. There's a new challenger, the big dog near the gate.
The guardian of the threshold. And notice the detail. The dog is sleeping.
Which is almost scarier. Because if it's barking, at least you know where it is. If it's sleeping, you have to be dead silent. One wrong move, and it's game over.
It creates this inherent suspense. If the dog were awake, it would be a chase scene. But with the dog asleep, it's a stealth scene. And look at how Peter moves now. The text explicitly says, Peter walked very slowly, step by step.
Step by step.
Contrast that with how rabbits usually move, hopping, darting, running. This is controlled, calculated movement. It's caution. It shows he understands the stakes. He's suppressing his natural instinct to just bolt in order to finish the mission.
He's gone full tactical mode. He's behaving like a predator, not prey, in terms of his movement control.
Exactly. He's in control.
So he sneaks past the dog. And now we get to the actual mechanics of the rescue. He needs a way to get that chain off Tom. And luckily, he finds a solution. He found the key on a small table.
It's a classic narrative trope, the key in plain sight, but it works so well here. The small table implies human presence. It's likely near the dog or the house. It forces Peter to go deeper into the danger zone to get the solution. He has to interact with the human world to save his father.
And we get a little glimpse into Peter's internal state here. The source text says, his heart went fast.
I love this detail. It might be my favorite line in the whole transcript.
Really? Why is that?
Because it redefines what bravery is. If the text said Peter was not scared, he would be a superhero. Or maybe just foolish, he wouldn't understand the danger. But his heart went fast, acknowledges the fear. He is terrified. His physiological response is pure fight or flight. But he chooses to act anyway, and that is the definition of courage acting in spite of the fear.
That is such a good point. You can't be brave if you aren't scared first.
Precisely. If you're fearless, you're just doing a task. If you're terrified and you do it anyway, that's bravery.
So his heart is hammering against his ribs. He grabs the key. He runs into the barn, opens the chain, and he says, "Come, Father."
And the roles have completely reversed. The child is now leading the parent. Come, Father. He is taking charge of this escape.
And then you get the action sequence. The text just emphasizes the movement. They ran past the sleeping dog, they ran across the field, they ran and ran.
That repetition of ran and ran, it gives you the sense of distance and urgency. They are just putting as much space as possible between them and that dark barn. It's the release of all that built-up tension from the creeping and the whispering. Now it's just pure speed.
It's the exhalation after you've been holding your breath for the whole middle of the story.
Yeah, exactly.
And they make it. Which brings us to the reunion. At last they reached home.
The sanctuary.
And the reaction is just pure joy. Mother cried with joy, the three little sisters jumped and laughed.
This resolves that emotional setup from earlier. Remember, Tom said everyone was sad. Now they're crying with joy and jumping and laughing. The emotional arc is complete.
And the text just states it plainly. The family was together again.
That's the core victory. I mean, yes, escaping the barn was the physical victory, but restoring the family unit, that was the moral victory. The hole in the family has been patched.
Which brings us to the final segment, and honestly, the most profound part of this source material for me, the character transformation. The text ends with this one line. And from that day, Peter was not naughty. He was brave.
It's such a strong concluding statement. It draws a very hard line in the sand.
It really does.
Yeah.
It frames the entire story as an origin story for a new identity.
Well, think about the labels. Naughty versus brave. What's the real difference? Naughty, as we discussed, is usually self-serving. Eating carrots you aren't supposed to. Breaking rules for fun.
Right. It's disruptive, but without a real point.
But brave involves breaking rules too. Look at what he did. He trespassed. He stole a key. He liberated a prisoner. Technically, all of those are naughty acts if you're the farmer.
That's true. He didn't follow the rules.
But he did it for others. He did it for a higher purpose.
So the actions might look similar, sneaking around, taking things, but the intent is what changes the label completely.
Precisely. The text suggests that you can shed your old self through a single defining act. Peter didn't just save Tom, he saved himself from being just the naughty rabbit. He graduated.
It's fascinating that the text presents it as a permanent change. From that day. It's not like he was brave for a minute and then went back to being the annoying kid. This changed him fundamentally.
It suggests that once you tap into that potential, that ability to put others first and face your fear, you can't really go back to just being a mischief maker. You've seen what you're capable of. The stakes of your life have been raised.
And just think about the evidence the story gives us for this new label. You have him ignoring the carrots, you have him entering the dark barn, facing the sleeping dog, and having the emotional maturity to reassure his father.
It's a complete portfolio of bravery. It serves as the proof for the new label.
You know, it's funny. We started this by talking about a YouTube transcript about a rabbit. And let's be honest, it's a simple text, but we've ended up discussing the very nature of courage and redemption.
Well, that's the power of stories, isn't it? Even simple ones. This narrative, Petter Rabbit Finds Father, it just strips away all the complexity and shows us the raw mechanics of heroism. It's archetypal.
It really is. It works because we all understand that transition from, say, childhood selfishness to adult responsibility. Peter just does it in about 5 minutes.
If efficiency is key.
So, to wrap this up with a quick summary, we saw a hero's journey that took us from the farm gate, past the temptation of carrots, into the darkness of captivity, and back out again into the light of a family reunion.
We saw a character move from a label of naughty, which is kind of dismissive, to brave, which is aspirational.
And we learned that bravery isn't about not having a fast-beating heart. It's about what you do while your heart is beating fast.
A vital lesson for rabbits and humans alike.
Absolutely. It was not naughty from that day on. But think about the skills he used. Sneaking, quiet walking, taking things that didn't belong to him. The key.
Right. The skill set itself didn't change.
So here's the question. Did becoming brave require him to actually change who he was? Or did he just finally find a worthy application for his natural naughtiness? Was that naughtiness just misplaced bravery all along?
That's a provocative thought. Maybe our flaws are just virtues waiting for the right context. Maybe he needed to be naughty first to learn the skills to be brave later.
Something to think about the next time you see a rabbit in your garden. Thanks for listening to this deep dive into the world of Peter and Tom. We'll see you next time.
Goodbye, everyone.